1, 2, 3, 4. We have a slight delay. We don't know actually when your plane is ever coming. It's not here.
And then you get one of these delays and everyone just inside, we just go, oh. Because we hate being delayed. We hate waiting. Let's be honest, we are terrible when it comes to patience. We don't want to wait. And so when something happens and it's a delay, we think, oh, this is so, sickening. This is so frustrating. I can't believe this is happening to me, because we like when things move at the pace we want them to move. We like when it happens the way that we want it to happen. But here's sometimes why we have a delay on a plane. Maybe a light came on, and the mechanic needs to go check the light that came on, right? They've got to update something. They've got to rewire something. They got to make sure something's still secure in there. Maybe there's some maintenance issues. Maybe the landing mechanism isn't working right. Maybe there's something that maybe their mechanics, the electrical, something is not working right, and you want to be able to land safely. So if you knew that was the case, then you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I actually want to live today. I actually want to make it there. So yes, please take all the time that you need to allow me to land safely. Sometimes there are flight delays because the weather's not right. Maybe there's a terrible storm coming in. Maybe there's thunder, there's lightning. Maybe the wind is so strong that it's not safe to fly. Some of the other types of reasons we have delays is the pilot may not be there. If you're flying out of LAX, traffic around LAX is insane. That pilot may not be there, that flight crew may not be there yet, or maybe they haven't met their hours, or they're over their hours and they have to rest a certain amount of time. Maybe you're just waiting on somebody else to show up. Sometimes a plane is delayed because there's air traffic congestion. That could be in the actual sky, or that could be at the airport where too many planes are coming in and out at one time, or the one plane is still waiting and there's not a runway for you to get to taxi to get there and all of that. But here's the deal, when we have to wait, we get frustrated. But what if we decided to look at this differently? That the delay is actually by design. What if we look at it and go like, you know what? This is actually worth waiting for. My safety is worth waiting for, right? Having a rested pilot is worth waiting for. But I know deep inside of us, we want it to happen on our time frame. We want to have control. We want it our way when we want it. Sometimes delays in life are deliberate. We want it to happen through our plans, through our timeline, and our way. But here's what we need to remember. Sometimes in life, God is delaying us for very specific reasons. So what could those reasons be? One reason could be that God is protecting you from something. Sometimes God's protecting you from yourself. Maybe you're not thinking rationally. Maybe you're not making great decisions right now. Maybe it's not the right time in life. Maybe there's something else that's about to happen that if you were to do that thing right now, you would not be able to handle it. Sometimes God is protecting you through a delay because there are people around you that are about to go through crisis, and that it's about to suck up all of your life energy because you got to be there for them in that moment. You see, sometimes delays is just God is repositioning you. He's saying, no, not on your time, my time. I have perfect timing. You need to trust me with that timing. Sometimes it's about resources. Maybe the resources or the people that are going to partner with you aren't quite there yet. They're not in position yet. So God has a delay so that those people can get in position. Sometimes we have to wait for things in life because God is preparing us. What does that mean? That God is growing us. How many of you just love to grow? Right? You love to be developed by God. It's such just a joyous experience when God is trying to grow us and develop us and help our faith to get stronger and help our character to get better, help our integrity to get higher and all of those types of things. Help us to get over our own ego, our own pride, our own our own control of everything. We have to get over ourselves sometimes, and God's just shaping us. He's just molding us. But we see it as a delay, and God's like, this is not a delay. I'm doing this on purpose. You're not ready. And we don't want to hear that, but you're not ready. Today, we're going to look at a story where Jesus is going to do a miracle. I'm going to spoil that for you. He's going to do a miracle. But in everybody else's eyes, Jesus delays the miracle. You see, what we see as a delay in our eyes is right on time in God's eyes. God's not delayed, and we need to trust him with that. We're going to be in John chapter 11. Let me set this story up a little bit for you. This story involves Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. I talked about Mary and Martha last week. These are the two sisters. That one was, hey, let's get it done. Let's do all these things. And the other one was, hey, let's sit in the presence of Jesus. Well, then they have a brother whose name is Lazarus. So they are in a nearby village. They're about 20 miles away from where Jesus is currently ministering. And so we're going to pick up the story right here. Verse 1. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sister sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. Now, when their brother is sick, it's only natural for them to look to Jesus. They know that Jesus does miracles. They've seen him. They have this special relationship with Jesus. And so what do? They send word to Jesus. And so they send a messenger. Now, I already told you they're about 20 miles away. That's about a 2-day journey from where they were. So why is Lazarus sick? Well, the scripture doesn't tell us why he's sick. It doesn't tell us what the sickness is. Was it the flu? Was it that he had a really bad cold? Did he have some sort of major infection happening in his body? We don't know. It doesn't tell us that, so it's not that important. But what it means is that Lazarus was really, really sick, so sick that Mary and Martha thought that it was worthwhile to send somebody on a 2-day journey to go find Jesus. So we can only imagine that they thought their brother is dying. I also want you to notice in that scripture that it says, the one you love. They sent that to be part of that message. The one you love, Jesus, is sick. What does that word love mean? Well, it means to be fond of. It means to have an affection for. This is a kind of a friendly, a brotherly love here. The one that you love, Jesus, is sick. Verse 4. When he heard this, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it's for the glory. No, it's for God's glory so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. Now, right there, we see that Jesus makes a declaration. Jesus tells them this is what is going to happen. This is not going to end in death. And so I'm sure that when they hear this, like, okay, hey, this is going to be great. Like, Jesus is on his way. It's going to happen the way that we think. It's going to happen the way that we want. He says, no, this isn't going to end in death. It's for God's glory. And it also says this, that he loves them. This is now Jesus saying that I love Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. Now, the word love here is a different word in Greek, and this is what it means right here. It means to have an unconditional love for. This is that word agape. He loves them that much. Now, he tells them this is for God's glory. What does that mean? It's for God's praise. It's for God's honor. It's for God's worship that will come through this. Here's a very important thing that we need to remember in life. God's plan is bigger than your expectations. God's plan is bigger than your expectation. Verse 6. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. What? We just had this whole thing about how much Jesus loved them. Mary and Martha sent this message that, hey, the one you love is sick. And we have we get it. Y'all love each other. So we think when there's this love that it's got to happen on our time frame, that it's got to be immediate, that Jesus has got to be on his way, that whatever he's doing, that he's going to stop, that he's going to get on a horse or whatever, and he's going to start going, and he is going to get to where his friend Lazarus is. You see, when we call 911, we expect that somebody's going to answer. And when we call 911, we don't want to be told, oh, hey, we'll get to you next Thursday. No, we're calling 911. That means we need immediate help. But Jesus tells these messengers, okay, I'm coming. I'm sure they probably expected that Jesus was going to accompany them back. But he chose not to. It says that he loves him, but then he stayed where he was 2 more days. Our expectations don't always align to God's plan. How many of you like it when things happen fast? Right? We want things to happen with speed and efficiency. God, do it this way. But that's not always how God works. You know, we live in a microwave world when sometimes we just need to put things in the crock pot and let it sit for hours and hours and hours and marinate. Sometimes we expect God just to make everything comfortable in our life. That's that all of the paths, all of the things in front of us that we don't have any resistance, that we're not going to have any difficulties in life. And so this is our expectation, but that's not the reality. Life is hard. We expect to see visible results, or at least visible signs of progress in areas of our life. But here's what happens. God often works in the unseen. He's working, but yet we're not seeing it yet. God's plan is bigger than your expectations. So Jesus professes his love for this family, and then he says, or then he waits 2 more days. Why? Why? This delay is deliberate. Jesus is making them wait. I'm sure the disciples are thinking like, hey, this is a 2-day journey. Like, we probably should get on our way. I'm sure when the word is getting to Mary and Martha, like, oh, Jesus should be here like right now. Like anytime. But that's not what's going to happen. So here's the problem that I have with this. You know all those verses that I read that says, love the one you love. Jesus says that he loves them. Oftentimes in life when we say, well, Jesus loves me, that means he's got to do it my way. Sometimes we try to do this in our own relationships with people. If you love me, you'll do it this way. If you love me, Jesus, you're going to do it on my time. If you love me, Jesus, you're going to give me that miracle right now. So then here we start playing this game where we go like, well, if you don't do it my way, then you must not love me. Right? We start to play this game. And I listen, I've done this too. We've all done this. Things aren't happening the way that we thought that we're going to go in life. And so, oh, well, Jesus must not love me anymore. Jesus still loves you, even if you are waiting. So if you're here today and you are waiting on a miracle, I want you to understand that Jesus still loves you. He has not forgotten about you. He's still working on it. And I know that in the moment we're going, yeah, but it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I wanted to do it right now. He still loves you. Wait for it. Wait for him. There's some of you in this room today that you're waiting on a miracle. You're waiting on a physical healing, and you're saying, Jesus, if you love me, you will do it right now. You'll do it my way. There's probably people in this room today who are dealing with fertility issues. And you're saying, Jesus, if you love me, you will let us have a child right now. Jesus, if you love me, you're going to provide for me right now. You're going to bring more finances to me. You're going to give me that promotion. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Jesus, you're going to do it my way. Jesus, if you love me, you will rescue me right now. Jesus still loves you, even if you are waiting. Jesus does things according to God's timing, not ours. And here's where we often go wrong. We mistake a delay as a denial. That Jesus has shut those doors, that Jesus has said, nope, that's not going to happen. Don't mistake a delay. Don't mistake waiting as a denial from Jesus. Allow him to continue to work. Let's go back to the why. Why does Jesus delay? In verse 4, he made it very clear that this was for God's glory. This was for God's glory. So let's fast forward the story a little bit. 2 days later, Jesus takes this 20-mile journey, which is going to take about 2 days. So it's now been 4 days, and Jesus arrives close to where Mary, Martha, and Lazarus lives. But he doesn't go all the way to the house. He kind of stays on the outskirts a little bit. We're going to pick up the story here, John chapter 11, verse 17. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. So Lazarus may have died the very day that Jesus was told that Lazarus was sick. Verse 18. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Now, we got to pause here. I know we've had conversations like this with God before. I imagine tears are welling up in her eyes. I imagine her voice is shaky. I imagine the disappointment that she's looking at Jesus, going, Jesus, if you'd only been here. Jesus, where were you? Jesus, you could have rescued him. Jesus, you could have saved him. Jesus, you could have healed him. Where were you? Why didn't you come earlier? Why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it right now? Now, I know we've had conversations like this with Jesus, and maybe the language changes a little bit, but we're like, Jesus, didn't you see the text message I sent you? Hey, Jesus, didn't you see the phone call that I put in? Jesus, didn't you see the journal entry that I made today saying, I need help in this area, I need a miracle? Hey, Jesus, didn't you see that I put a little something extra in the donation box today, so hoping that you will, get my attention here and that you'll come over to me? We have these moments with God where we're like, where we're so disappointed, where we're frustrated, and we're saying, God, I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like I'm in your will. I feel like I'm obeying you. I feel like I'm living for you and all of these things. But God, I'm still going through struggles. I'm still going through tragedies in my life. I'm still suffering. I want to let you know, if that's where you're at, it's okay to talk to Jesus that way. It's okay to express your heart to him. It's okay to express what's really going on in your life. But I want you to see the change here in verse 22 now. This is still Martha speaking. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. Woo! She just let Jesus have it. Where were you? If you had only been here, Jesus. And I imagine there are some tears coming out of her eyes. She takes a deep breath. And she says, but I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. There are some of you here today, you need to continue asking God. You need to continue seeking God. You need to continue waiting on God because he is not done. Now, how many of you are willing to make a declaration of faith even in your deepest moment of frustration, even in your deepest moment of disappointment in life? To say, God, even now I know that you can do it. I'm hurting, I'm struggling, I'm barely hanging on here. But even now, I know that you are not done. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to kind of paraphrase the next few verses here. Martha goes back to Mary now, tells him that Jesus wants to see you. Mary comes to see Jesus, and you know what she says? The very same thing that Martha says. Where were you? If only you had been here. Then Jesus tells them, well, take me to where his body has been laid. As they're there, right, people are overcome with grief. This is where the shortest Bible verse is, where it says Jesus wept. The people around, the crowd that's there, the people who are mourning, the people that are grieving, they are there, and this is what they are starting to talk about with each other, and it says something like this. This was the guy who was performing miracles. This was the guy that could make blind people see. Surely, if he had been here, he could have prevented this death. So there's stuff stirring in the background about Jesus and can he not? So, verse 38. Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. Take away the stone, he said. But Lord, said Martha, the sister of the dead man, by this time there's a bad odor, for he's been there for 4 days. Why did Jesus allow Lazarus to die? Why did Jesus allow Lazarus to be dead for 4 days? I mean, the women are going, hey, the spices are only going to work so much. His body is decaying already. When we open this tomb up, it's about to get really foul smelling. But why the 4 days? You see, in Judaic custom, they had a belief that the spirit of somebody, the soul of somebody, would stay in their body for 3 days after they died. But after that 3 days was over, then there was no way that person could come back to life. There was no way that person could be resurrected. So now, with this custom there, do you see what's about to happen? Jesus is about to blow their mind. Jesus is about to tell them there's nothing that's too hard for me. Just because you think it's impossible doesn't mean it's impossible for me. You see, God's delays always serve his purpose. God's delays always serve his purpose. Verse 40. Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I know that you always hear me. But I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." Verse 43. When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." Jesus calls Lazarus' name. Lazarus would have been wrapped up like a mummy. So this would have been like shock and awe, right? This dead man is now kind of coming out of this cave. I am sure people are like, "What's happening? What's going on?" You see, when Jesus spoke, the thing that was dead now had life once again. You see, Jesus delayed this miracle for his purpose. Jesus delayed this miracle to reveal his power over life and death to the people around him. Jesus delayed for his future plans. Jesus delayed to prepare the people that even death could not stop him. Because it wouldn't be that much longer after this that Jesus himself would conquer the grave. Jesus' delay wasn't neglect. It was divine design. You're waiting on something in your life, and you feel like Jesus is neglecting you. You feel like Jesus doesn't see you anymore. It's not neglect. It's by his design. He's still working. You may not be aware of it, but he is still working. And catch this. What you may see in your life right now as a huge setback, a huge delay, may actually be the setup for the greatest miracle you have ever experienced. And you go, "Well, why? Why does Jesus have to do it this way?" It's for his glory. It's so that you know there is nothing that you could have done to make it happen. It's only by his power, it's only by his authority that it happens. So some of you who are waiting right here and right now, I want to let you know that God still sees you, that God's not neglecting you, that God still loves you. Can I just tell you, a couple weeks ago when I read this, worship team, you can go ahead and get in place, sorry. When I read this story a couple weeks ago, I was really having to think through this whole love aspect, that Jesus still loves them even though he's making them wait. Have you ever had to wait for something in your life? And that waiting made you question if Jesus still loves you? If he still sees you? if he still believes in you, if he's still for you, Jesus, do you see me struggling over here? He does love you. He does see you. And he's not done with you. The story isn't over. Jesus is still working. I believe some of you in here today, you're walking through some things. And you just feel like it's setback after setback after setback. But just know it's the setup for God's glory to be revealed. There are some of you here today that you've been praying, but nothing has changed yet. Wait for it. There's some of you in here today that you are believing that the doors are going to open, but they haven't opened yet. Wait for it. There are some of you here today that you are putting all of your hope in it, but it still hasn't happened. Wait for it. Don't stop believing. See what the Lord can do. Look at the scriptures. See how he answers. See how he never fails. We already sang a song about it today, that take him at his word. There are some of you in this room today that you are going to have some sort of a Lazarus moment, something that you think that has died in your life, you have lost hope for. Maybe it's through a sickness. And Jesus is about to speak your name. And he's going to say, John, come out. There are some of you in this place who are struggling with addiction, whether it's pornography, whether it's gambling, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's drugs, whatever the addiction is, that you feel like you are dead on the inside, that you have been buried. Jesus is about to speak it. Come out. There are people in this place today that your marriage is on the rocks. You may not even be here with your spouse today, that things are hurting. Maybe it's a relationship with a child, and you figure like, man, I have just lost all hope. I'm giving up on this. I want to let you know that Jesus is not done yet, and Jesus could still say, come on out. You go, well, why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to go through these difficulties? Why do I have to go through these struggles? It's for his purpose, it's for his plan, it's for his protection over your life, and it's for his provision over your life to be revealed. And sometimes it's just because he's growing you. He's developing you. He's giving you a season of life where you have to grow in your faith. You have to grow in your trust in him. I'm going to be very vulnerable with you here. I've had major moments in my life. Oh my God, where are you? Where are you? You hear me talk about my kids often. I've got a 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, and then I got a 5-year-old. If you wonder why there's a big gap, well, that was God. Not that he was a surprise to us. You see, when my wife was giving birth to our daughter, she almost died in the process. So after that, it was like, hey, we got to let things heal. We got to let your body do what it's got to do. And then when we felt like, hey, here's the time, like, okay, God. And it wasn't God's timing yet. Weeks, months, years. God, do you still see us? Do you still love us? Have we done something wrong? God, why? We already knew. We knew that we were going to have a boy. We knew it. We already had the name. We had the name for 6 years. And then God said, now. There are people here today that whatever you're walking through, if God has put it in your heart and you know it's from him, do not give up on him. Wait for it. As a pastor, I've gone through experiences in life where God has said, not yet. Oh, come on. 7 years ago, we knew the season where we were at. We had been in a church for 9 years, and I felt like, okay, God, this is the time we're going to step into lead pastoring right then. And God said, not yet. Like, ugh. Why? I got a whole message just on that one, but I'll give you the highlights of it, because we were about to step into the craziest season of our life. COVID happened just right after that. Thank the Lord I was not a lead pastor during COVID. My wife in that season had 4 family members die. We went through a whole lot, and it was God's protection. It was God's development in us to allow us to continue to grow. Even in coming here, God's given me a vision of what is to be. But there are moments that I struggle with the here and the now. I go, God, do you still see me? Do you still see CLA? God, you showed this to me, and I believe it. But God, man, I'm going through some struggles. I'm going through some hurts. I'm going through some pain right now in life. And I want to let you know that God is worth the wait. Yeah. God is worth the wait. So whatever you're waiting for, whatever you're believing for, don't give up on God. He hasn't given up on you. He is not done yet.